Answering football's 4 burning questions in 45 seconds or less.
So Anita, is Man City's dominance a good or bad thing for the Premier League?
You know what it is? I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but I also wouldn't say it's a good thing. There are so many negatives in this. Like, having a dominance like how Bayern Munich has with the Bundesliga, for example. I wouldn't want that for the Premier League, but then again, it gives the teams an opportunity to step their game up. It calls for that kind of healthy competition that's kind of been needed in the Premier League for a long time. Having a three-peat that Man City's done and Man United's done in the past twice, it's not great for football, but at the same time, it shows that there are teams in this league that are frightening enough to kind of pull a mad statement. So Man City getting a three-peat, matching Sir Alex Ferguson getting a three-peat. That for me is pretty exciting. What about you?
I don't think it's like the end of the world. I do think it's concerning if you're one of the other big Premier League clubs of what you redefine success to be, if we're assuming that Man City's dominance is going to continue into next season. But we're not talking about poor clubs here, you know, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool. We're talking about clubs with a lot of finances who are going to be outspending most of Europe. I think the thing to learn is that, particularly if you're a club who do have finances that maybe not match City completely, but you know can still spend, is trying to make sure your plan is more coherent. You can't just spend your way to success, because City have mastered so many parts of their club with the best in class in coaching, in recruitment, everything, and that's something that maybe other clubs, say like a Chelsea, have to learn, and Man United too, in the coming years. So I don't think it's the end of the world, but for the short term I could still see Man City being dominant.
Did Bayern Munich make a mistake sacking Julian Nagelsmann? Ooh.
Yeah, I think they did. I really do, because he wasn't doing a woeful job. In comparison, it wasn't like he was completely tanking. The context is that Bayern are so dominant in the Bundesliga, there is an expectation, a bit like PSG, that they are going to win that league 9 times out of 10. But you look at what's happened since they've made that change. Thomas Tuchel came in. I think there was an expectation that because of what he did at Chelsea, he'd come in and have an instant impact. That hasn't happened at all, really. They've dropped points in the Bundesliga. They got knocked out of the cup at home. They were roundly beaten by Man City in the Champions League. And now, because of that defeat to Leipzig on Saturday at home, they are now in jeopardy of losing the Bundesliga to Borussia Dortmund. And you know, it's been an interesting and exciting Bundesliga for the neutral. But yeah, I think they've made a mistake, and I think Julian Nagelsmann will be laughing on his skateboard at the moment.
Listen, you went 5 seconds over, so just cutting into my time. But I kind of agree with you. And just looking at it from a Thomas Tuchel's perspective, when he left Chelsea, things weren't necessarily rosy. There were a lot of gaps in the style of play that he chose, in the kind of player management as well. There were a lot of complaints about the way he treated the players. And then you kind of look at what's happening at Bayern Munich and you kind of think, is the same thing happening over here as well? And I wouldn't be surprised if it is, you know. Thomas Tuchel himself, he's always said like he's not the best man manager, you know. He's not the best when it comes to talking with the boards and stuff. So did Bayern Munich make a mistake? Probably. They should have given Julian Nagelsmann some more time. It's not like he was doing badly, like you rightfully said.
Who is the best Brazilian to play in the Premier League?
Now, that is such a techie question because there's so many of them. And like looking at the stats, right? Firmino has the goals, Coutinho has the assists, and it burns me because they're both Liverpool players. And I'm thinking about, you know, people like David Luiz, people like Willian, people like Gilberto Silva. I'm thinking about all these players and I'm thinking, can I really sit here and give it to Firmino? Firmino's had some clutch moments in the Premier League. I will give him that. But I look at Coutinho and he's my type of player, right? He's got the flair, he's got the ball, he's got the hits when he takes his free kicks as well. And for me, it might just have to be Coutinho over Firmino, Willian and David Luiz. What about you?
It's Ederson.
Ooh.
Ederson really has like redefined, and to be fair, Alisson Becker too at Liverpool, but I think Ederson, the way he's contributed to that Man City team over the years, some of the way, you know, because the way Man City play, it's so reliant on Ederson and the goalkeeper having a big part to play in build-up.
Yeah. And
some of the kicks over the years, how precise they've been, how brave he is on the ball and how brave he has to be at times is just interesting to see. And at times I think for an English fan it's been not used to that style of play, have had to get used to a goalkeeper doing that more and more. But I think he's just been outstanding in terms of impact on a team, in terms of longevity, in terms of level of performance over a number of years. It's Ederson.
I'm gonna have to cut you there, but that's a good point. Who is the most underrated player this season?
Oh, this is tough. I do have an honourable mention in Karen Matoma from Brighton, who I think is just such an exciting winger. But I'm actually going to go for Callum Wilson from Newcastle, who has scored 18 Premier League goals this season for a player who's had a lot of injury problems in his career. You could pick many Newcastle players because they've had such a good season on the brink of Champions League qualification.
Yeah.
And I just think for him, his experience, the way him and Eddie Howe have worked wonders together for a number of years at Bournemouth too. Really good striker, has come through a lot of hardship, and I think it's great to see him still doing things at an age where maybe people thought he didn't have much to offer.
If I had to choose an underrated player, I'm not too sure who I'll choose. I feel like there's been a lot of players that have stepped out of their comfort zone and kind of stepped up. Kieran Trippier, for example, the impact he's brought to Newcastle has been so understated. So I kind of look at that and think, is Kieran Trippier my most underrated player? But then I think Kieran Trippier should be doing this anyway.
Yes.
You look at his CV and you think, okay, this is a leader, this is a captain, and I think Newcastle did a great job getting Kieran Trippier. But you said Mitoma, and I was like, yeah, why freaking not? Mitoma has been amazing, and he's been one of those players that have come into the Premier League. You didn't expect anything from him, and then he's absolutely balling out. I look at him sometimes and I'm like, baby, where did they get you from?
Another Brighton gem. They just keep on picking them up.
They're just making them, churning them like butter.